Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about something that looks like it's on its way back, which is quite exciting, which is digital nomads. I've seen quite a few posts come up quite recently about people that are finally traveling again and doing work abroad, which is really, really exciting. Now, whenever digital nomadism comes up or starts to trend, there's usually an influx of people that are like, oh, that's perfect for me. That's the kind of lifestyle I want to live. And there's always an influx of people that don't manage it, basically, that do not understand the principles that are required in terms of being a digital nomad. So there are a few kind of key distinctions and key principles that you need to understand before you go into this. And I'm going to go through them now. The first and most important thing that you need to have if you want to be a digital nomad, if you want to be traveling and working, is an absolutely fundamental understanding that your clients or your work, your boss, whoever it is that is paying you, that is enabling you to have that lifestyle, really fundamentally doesn't care that you're traveling. They care about the work output that you're putting out, right? And if that work output goes down or starts to decrease, you're going to be in a really, really tricky situation because of two things. Number one, you're traveling, they will be aware that you're traveling, and they will assume that your traveling is the reason why your work output has gone down, right? That it's already predisposed to go, oh, well, of course his work's going to go down. He's off gallivanting X, Y, and Z, right? So that's already predisposed there. That's one reason why it would be really painful and really problematic. Number two, if they do drop out, if you do lose that income, then very often digital nomads don't have a backup plan. And very often they find themselves in a space where they have no eject and all of a sudden they're abroad with no money. And abroad in some pretty exotic places with no money, which is a really dangerous and can be quite devastating situation to be in. So let's lay down some fundamentals to make sure that you don't end up in that situation. So first distinction that you need to have in your head is digital nomads are not travel bloggers. That's really, really key. Some digital nomads are, absolutely, but the vast majority aren't. The vast majority are working in a job that enables them to be able to work digitally. So work off of their computer or off of their phone if they're really, really, if that's how they're working. But it enables them to work in the digital sphere so they can do it wherever there is the internet. Provided there is the internet, they can do their job. That's a really key distinction because most of us are spending 8 hours to 10 hours a day working, right? We're sat in front of a computer doing work. So I'm not off, I'm never off surfing, let's be fair, but I'm not off, surfing with dolphins or, skydiving or hot air ballooning or doing all of the things that you will see come up consistently across travel vloggers, channels and travel vloggers videos. Certainly during this lockdown period over the last sort of year and a half, the vast majority of digital nomads haven't bought themselves a camper van and gone traveling the length and breadth of their own home nations. That's not what's happened. Most of them have just sat down, all right, fine, plonk, I'm here, I'm in I've done what I would do in any other country, I've just happened to do it in my home country. I found a secure location, a space where I can work effectively and well. I've made sure that I've got all the amenities close at hand, all of the things that you would do if you were looking to move. So that's really key thing. They're not travel vloggers. The experience, if you have in your head that if you go into this lifestyle, you're going to be up in 5-star hotels 24/7, and you're going to be doing X, Y, and Z. It's very, very unlikely. The second distinction: digital nomads are not on holiday, right? The reason why most of us aren't doing those activities is because we're working. Right, I spend 8 hours to 10 hours a day. In fact, when business partners are off, when businesses are off, when clients have an influx of work for us to do, very often that creeps up to 16. I've even done 20-hour days. In fact, I've had weeks where I've done 20-hour days consistently 3 or 4 days in a row. Which is definitely not good for your health. But it's you're working. It's not that you're doing this because it's a great big holiday and all we have our time off. No, it's an extra. It's an added difficulty, not a time to kind of, oh well, let's just let all the barriers between work and leisure disappear and I'll be laying on a beach doing my work. That's not, that notion completely does not, very 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 rarely ever happens, and if it does happen, it happens in a really short space of time. What the vloggers don't show you is the amount of time that they spend video editing, the amount of times that they spend negotiating deals with sponsors, the amount of times they spend arguing with managers, the amount of times that they spend having to figure out what conferences they're going to go to, what conferences they aren't going to go to, and all of those things, and meeting after meeting after meeting. All of that side isn't on those channels. What you see is something else. The third thing that's really, really important, the third distinction that we need to make, is that digital nomads are not flaneurs. Now, a flaneur is a French word. It basically is somebody that's kind of hovering in the background, that's distant, that's disconnected from the location where they are. That can't be the case, right? I can't be disconnected like I am on holiday, where I'm at a hotel and all my meals are there for me. It's all inclusive. I get to lounge around by the seaside. No, I need to know where my local hospital is. I need to know where my local supermarket is. I need to know where bus routes across places if I don't have a vehicle, or how to hire a vehicle, what licenses I need for those vehicles in different countries, and insurance, and all of those things. I can't be disconnected to that in the location where I am. I need to make sure that I've done all the research and really got down into the basis of, okay, where I'm going to be. So fundamental. If you don't do that, then you end up getting yourself in situations where either, if a medical problem does happen and you don't know how to access medical facilities, you're going to be in trouble, and you're in trouble and you're injured. So that, you're injured or you're ill. So it's not just, there's a real urgency there that it's not needed until suddenly it's absolutely necessary. The same with vehicles, the same with travel, the same with all of those things. If you're going to a country where it has a different alphabet, not just a different language. If you are going to, some places in China, if you're going to some places in Russia where there is no English written, there's not even English language, you can't read it, it's completely different. Then you need to make sure that you've researched exactly where you need to be. And it's all great and good having that on your phone until your phone runs out of charge. So I'm talking about really in-depth things, like making sure you've researched where you can charge your phone up if you're doing, a 25-hour flight period, for example. Most phones aren't going to last. So making sure you're doing all of that over research to make sure you've got all of the information needed. Those distinctions are really, really important. Now, of course, there are some massive benefits to being a digital nomad. It's not all, harsh and added effort. There are some key principles that are really beneficial. The most plain one is that you get to enjoy the world, right? You'll suddenly have the freedom to experience as much of the world as you can. And you get to meet loads of new people in loads of different locations, loads of different cultures, loads of different experiential spaces. You get to have that whole world, pretty much. Well, the whole world does. It opens up to you, and you have the freedom to be experiencing the whole world. So that's there's massive benefits to doing it as well. And the sort of enviable benefits in some ways. And I'm not trying to say anything to put people off of doing it, but what I am saying is, if you are going to do it, don't go into it naively. Go into it with an understanding that you need to have, this isn't fantasy. This is not escapism. You can't view it like that. If you do, then if you're viewing it as this isn't reality. This is just me for the next 2 years traveling, essentially, and then I'm going to come back and live my real life. Like, no, then live your real life. Like, don't waste 2 years of your life on some escapism plan. Live it. That really, really kind of, I can't stress that enough. The ethic is different. Talking about ethic brings us on to what are the actual practices of being a digital nomad. And I've mentioned some of them, right? The most important practice I can ever give to someone is to tell you that the work ethic is key, right? If you can't maintain your job whilst you're traveling, then there's no point in trying this, because the job enables everything to happen. And when I say the job, I mean, for example, take myself, for example, I own a company, right? I own my digital marketing company called 2/3 Different. I own it. I run it. I'm the managing director of it. So I have a team of people that I have to manage. There's about 20 of us in total at the moment. There is, at least, at the time of filming, there is 20 of us. There we go. But we deal with, we have several, I'm going to say hundreds of clients at this point, historically, and active client base is very, very large. So I need to be able to be accessible to be able to have conversations with the clients that I am personally managing, as well as help the team manage their clients, the expectations of their clients, the output of the work that needs to happen in terms of, advertising and digital marketing and all of the stuff that we do. And I need to be able to do that in a time frame that is congruent with what the client is expecting, which means I can't be saying to the client, oh, well, yes, let's have a meeting at 3 o'clock my time, 3 p.m. my time, if, 3 o'clock my time is 3 a.m. their time. That doesn't work. I can't be turning around to them and saying, we're going to do this, and this, and it will happen by end of day, if their end of day and my end of day are so different, so disconnected, that they are saying, well, the work was late, you didn't do it at the end of the day. I'm saying, well, actually I did. It's just a different day. That's not how it works, right? The work ethic needs to be, really needs to be key. The communication needs to be key. All of that side needs to be maintained, to make sure that you can keep doing the job, to make sure that you're doing it. And if that side starts to be affected by the fact that you are traveling, then there's a real issue, and you need to start preempting those difficult positions and then finding ways of resolving them. For example, if I was to travel right now down to, I don't know, take a direct flight to Thailand, right? It would take about 16 hours to fly from the UK to Thailand on average. If a client tried to get in contact with me during that period, and they would have turned around and I was turning around and say, well, I'm unavailable, I'm on a flight. It sounds so frivolous, right? It sounds like, oh, well, he's on a flight and I'm here, struggling with my business. There's no way that's going to maintain. So what I need to do is make sure that I've got a client relationship manager or an account manager on hand who can answer the phone and say, hi there. Yes, absolutely. Let me get that team on that right away. Let me get the team handling this, and be able to have those other people that can handle that during that period. So that I'm kind of preempting all of these problems. That comes with work ethic and with work discipline, right? It also comes with experience, but it's real, disciplined positions to know that actually I need to make sure my work output isn't affected. And it comes back to the thing that I said at the very, very beginning of this video, which is your clients, me as a boss, all of those things. I don't care why the work is not coming out as good as it needs to if you're traveling. I just care that it is, right? In the same way as your clients don't care about you traveling. They don't care about any of that. What they care about is the work output that they're paying for. And if the work output that they're paying for is degrading, then they're going to have a problem, right? If it's declining, if it's getting worse and worse and worse, the more and more you travel, they're going to look for someone else. They're going to look for another client. They're going to look for another account manager. They're going to look for another person to fulfill that job that isn't, in their head off gallivanting in different countries. So that's so key. You're working, you're not on holiday, and that distinction is quite a key one, actually, to really have quite a strict distinction between I am working for these 8 hours, and okay, now I can go and experience the space that I want to experience, the place I want to experience, where I'm going, and that changes the time frames that traveling happens in. A lot of people go into digital nomadism thinking that their travel is going to happen in sort of a week here, a week there, a week here, a week there. That's not the case at all. What actually happens is people usually spend about a month to 3 months in one location, and then they spend a month to 3 months in another location, and a month to 3 months in another location, because it takes a lot of time, right? This isn't something that they can experience in the same way that you would on holiday, because you don't have hours and hours and hours to go and explore and do all the things you want to do and do all those activities, because 8 hours of every day is taken up with you working, right? And the reason why I'm repeating the words 8 hours every day is because that's what you're, if you have that in your head, that the bulk of the day is going to be spent working, then the discipline will remain. If you have in your head, oh, I'm going to try and do a 4-hour work week or something along those lines, it's a joke. It's laughable. It's not going to happen. And I have seen quite literally thousands of people at this point try and become a digital nomad that I've met on travels, that I've spoken to online, that I've spoken to in different communities, all of whom have gone in absolutely going, oh no, I can definitely do this in 4 hours. And they've crashed and burned, and most of them, I don't know anyone of them that has actually managed to do it successfully. The only people that I've seen successfully be digital nomads are those that have a really solid work ethic, that are able to actually put in the hours to have the outcome, or they've already got the money. That's the other thing. They've already earned their money and they're digital nomads, but they are actually on holiday. So I'm that's kind of the practices. I'm now going to talk to you a little bit about some key pieces of advice that just make the whole thing a lot easier. The first thing that makes everything mountains easier is being as cloud based as you can in your work. So making sure that you're using cloud-based applications, making sure that you're using cloud-based storage, making sure that you're using cloud-based communications. Make basically anything that you can do to relieve the reliability on one device or on any device, any singular solid piece of hardware is fantastic, because things break, things get lost, things disappear. And what you don't want is for you to break your computer in a foreign country, for them to say, yes, it's going to take a week for it to get fixed. And that's a week of you out of not being able to do your job. And then you have to explain it to clients, and it just becomes a real mess, right? If you are cloud-based, your computer breaks, if you absolutely have to, you can get hold of another cheaper device whilst that one's being repaired, or you can get hold of another device that's a complete, exact match, open it up, log into the cloud, and you're back up and running immediately. Job security wise is absolutely fundamental. Number two, reduce your hardware bulk, right? You're traveling with your hardware. Okay. So if you've got, if you're using multiple screens, if you're using, external hard disks, and you're using, external graphics cards, and you're using, great big processors, and you've got, just any bulk of hardware, microphones and cameras and hypersensitive bits of X, Y, and Z. If you have all of that, then you have to travel with all of that. And if it breaks, then you have to get it repaired and all of those things. So what I've managed to do and how I work, bearing in mind I run a digital marketing company that has a staff of 20 people at the moment, that is, very, very successful. And I've managed to reduce my equipment down to basically three things. And one of those is optional, by the way. One of those is earphones, or headphones if I need them. And that's just because occasionally I'm doing work in, when I am traveling. So when I'm doing work in an airport, or doing work in a train station or somewhere like that, where I just want to be able to focus and be focused on the work. But aside from that, I have my computer, which is as light and as powerful as possible. So in this case, I'm working off of a MacBook Air, the new M1, but it's light, it's compact, it's super powerful, super fast, can do absolutely everything I need it to do. But it's portable, it's packed, it's compact. I can just whack it down, put it in a bag, and go. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is my phone. Now, really, really luckily, over the last sort of 18 months as I've been based in the UK, I've had a really, really good internet connection. My phone is my router. That's the one of the main thing I'm going to check to. My phone is my router. So my internet connection is divided by my phone. So as long as I have my phone and my computer with me, I can get connected. I can get into the cloud and get all my work stuff done. And being based in the UK, I've got really good upload download speeds based from my phone contract. And that's, the reason for that is because I deliberately did that, and made sure that I had that level of connectivity, and it's unlimited everything. And the reason why it has to be unlimited everything is because it is my work. It is my whole job. And that brings me kind of neatly onto the next piece of advice, which is over research. If I'm going to travel somewhere, make sure that you know absolutely everything you need to about that space, about where you're going to. What are the amenities? How fast is the internet? Down to them, what is the megabit per second upload download speed? Is there connectivity all the time, or does it drop off? All of those things you need to know. How far away is local supermarket? How far away is the local bus stops? How far away is the local X, Y, and Z? How do I get here? How do I get there? How can I get to the airport? How can I get to the, land crossings, border crossings? All of those things that you need. Make sure that you've researched and researched and researched and researched. In fact, what I usually recommend people do is, once they are based and secure in one space, when they research the new space, also research the activities that you're going to be doing once you get there. And actually see, what days of the week they happen at, what times of the week they happen at, all of those things. So that if something, if there is a solid activity that you want to do that is in the middle of the day, okay, I've got 2 months left where I am now. I've got, and then I'm going to be traveling there, and then I want to do this maybe 2 months in. So I'm 4 months ahead from doing that activity. Let me now see if I can book that in that early. And the reason why I'm booking it in that early is that the clients are then, feel fantastic. Like, okay, great. It's 4 months down the line. That's absolutely fine. No one's ever going to say, yeah, really problem. It's a third of a year away. I've never had a complaint. But so long as you let them know that far in advance, you seem like you're hyper organized. You seem like you're completely on top of everything. They feel like they're in safe hands. So over research helps everything just completely smooth out. The fourth thing, and this is massively important, is having a float. Now, what is a float? A float is basically a way of getting back home, right? Whether that be a bulk of money, whether that be a person that you trust, whether that be whatever that be, have a way in which you can eject from whatever country you are in. The reason why that is so important is because I've seen it happen so many times with people getting stuck in locations abroad. I was in Egypt in 2012. In 2011 was the Arab Spring. I was in Thailand when COVID started hitting, and that was in sort of January, February, March. By March time, everything was locked down. So I had to be able to get out of Thailand immediately. And if I couldn't get out of Thailand immediately, I would have been stuck there. I'd still be stuck there. There's worse places to be stuck. But, I wanted to get out, and I wanted to be able to be in a place where, that had a solid healthcare system, for example, where I knew I was going to probably be vaccinated first, so on and so forth. And that being in the UK, that's worked out to my massive benefit. So yeah, having a float, key, absolutely crucial. People that don't have a float that are abroad right now, you're living on a knife edge, because you haven't. If everything falls down, if your clients pull out, if your job fires you, if something collapses, you are suddenly stuck in a foreign country without that eject button, without the ability to get home, and that's not a place you want to be, believe me. So that's that's sort of advice number 4, I would say. And then the fifth piece of advice, and I've said it the whole way through this video, and I'll say it 100 times: have a solid work ethic. Make sure that you are working, that your quality of work isn't impacted, that your communications aren't impacted, that everything you are doing to maintain not just, that your clients are happy, but that your clients are delighted with your performance. Making sure that maintains throughout really will put you in really good stead, not just as a digital nomad, but generally in life. But it will put you in really good stead here, because your clients will never have a reason to turn around and say, out of anything, whether it be jealousy or whether it be out of legitimate concern for your declining work output, to turn around and say, actually, we're going to go with someone else. We don't think that what you're doing is, you're not really focused on the job. You're more focused on your travels. Anything like that, where they can use what your digital nomadism as an excuse. Make sure it doesn't happen. You don't want to give them that opportunity. You don't want to give anyone that sort of hook to be able to take away the freedom that you're enjoying. So yeah, that's the kind of main things I would say about being a digital nomad in 2021. It's coming back. That's really exciting. So it is really exciting. It is really positive that it's coming back, because it means that the travel industry is coming back, which means we can finally get on holiday again. Not even if you're not a digital nomad, it means you can finally get on holiday again. So it's really, really positive, especially for those that work in travel industry as well. So yeah, very, very exciting. It looks like we may be seeing some slight lights at the end of this tunnel. That's not to say, obviously, that everything's gone away. It's still clearly very present, and is in some parts of the world much more problematic than others. But we're in a really, really positive space right now, with these kind of things coming back. So in my next video, what I'm going to do, I want to talk a little bit more about the digital side of digital nomadism, because a lot of people focus on the nomad side, on the traveling. I want to talk a little bit more in depth about the digital bit, what digital jobs people actually do, what digital job I do, and I actually want to go quite in depth on the advertising side to give you a little bit of a skill set that could potentially enable you to do this, to actually go and be a digital nomad. So if that is of interest, keep watching, basically. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I will leave it there.